So, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining me for this talk. My name is Kinga Kieczkowska, and I will give you an introduction to iPhone backup forensics today. Before I start, just a bit about me. By day, I work as a cybersecurity consultant doing security architecture and operations things for companies of various sizes, but actually I don't really do macOS security in my day job. So by night, I am a self-proclaimed macOS forensics geek, and it all started with my university dissertation, which I wrote on macOS thumbnail caches. And since then, I've been spending some time after hours blogging and looking at various macOS and iOS forensics topics. So let's dive right into today's topic, which is iPhone backups. So what is an iPhone backup? This is a screenshot from Apple's website. In general, it's a set of files containing your device's data and settings. I am talking about iPhone backups, but you can also backup other Apple devices such as iPads and iPod Touches. And within the iPhone backups themselves, you can have local iPhone backups, which you make by connecting your device to a laptop and creating the backup that way. There are also cloud backups, iCloud backups, which are probably surely more popular at this point. However, in my talk, I'm talking about the local backups, and this is because they are there's a bit more in them, kind of by default in one place. I'm also going to talk about an unencrypted backup. By default, all the backups that you do locally are unencrypted. You can encrypt them. There is an option for that. But if you are trying to emulate the activities of a regular user who just clicks through everything as it's being prompted to them, then they might not. So that was my thought process behind that. So in that local iPhone backup, as I said, there's data. There are files containing the device's data and settings and configurations. However, some of the more sensitive information, like health or Apple Pay, are only available in the encrypted backup. So I'm not gonna look into that today. So just a bit of on backup basics. This is what the view that you get in music, in the music software when you want to take a backup. You have a button here that says backup now. That's how you'd do it. You also have an option to see previous backups of that device made on the same device that you're doing the backup on. I didn't have a previous backups in this case, but if you did, you could click on Manage Backups and see a list of them. So once you do that, it doesn't take a very long time, which is one of the advantages of it that I'll highlight later as well. You get a folder in this location. You can see on the slide in the user's home folder, library, application support, mobile sync, backup. And the name within the backup folder, there will be another folder, the name of which is the unique identifier of the device that you're backing up, obviously. And inside you'll get 256 folders with data. And in each of these folders, you just get these like long file names, hashes of something. We don't know yet what. We will learn soon. And you don't get any file formats or extensions. So at this stage, it's quite, just by looking at the files themselves, it's not quite clear what you're looking at. Apart from these folders and these files, we also have 4 key files that we will look into more. So there are three property list files: info, status, and manifest, and there's also a manifest database. So let's start with the info.plist. So that file contains general information about the device and its state at the moment of backup. So here's just a screenshot of part of that file. You can see the device name. You can see there are the IMEI numbers. There are multiple ones because I had multiple eSIMs on my eSIM cards on my device. You will see there's the phone number as well and the last backup date. The last backup date is actually the date of the last backup completion. So there will be a number of different dates in a number of different places. So that's interesting to note that this is where the backup was completed. And you can also see the unique identifier again here. But what is most interesting for me in that file is the list of installed applications. So you can see there's an array here, and I think it says 61 items. So those will be this will be the list of applications that you have installed on that device that's being backed up. Some of the names, because what you can see here are the application bundle names, so some of them are quite self-explanatory. Net WhatsApp, you probably know what that is, Facebook Messenger, but there will be some that don't really make much sense, as it's not usually, externally facing to users. So for example, I had something called IO B2A Bank Prod. I was not sure what that was. It didn't sound like anything I knew, but in that case, Google is your friend, so obviously you can check that out, and it turned out for me to be the Monzo Bank, a popular bank and mobile banking app in the UK. So just to be aware that it's not always going to be straightforward and intuitive. And on the other hand, something that's just because something is called Ryanair or WhatsApp or Signal does not mean that it's actually that. So always verify what you're looking at. Another file is the status.plist file. So here we have another date, and that date is actually the backup creation start date. So here you can see that it is 2:07 p.m. on the 4th of November. And if we go back to info.plist, you can see that it is the 4th of November, but it's 2:08 p.m. So that's when the backup finished, but it started a minute earlier. We can also see the backup state here, so the state is finished, which means it's complete. Then moving on to the manifest.plist file. So there are some details on application bundles installed on the device, and if we look at this list here, it says over 1,200 items, so it's much more than what we saw in the other file. So these ones will be all sorts of not only the kind of installed application bundles, but all sorts of native things as well. So depending on what you're looking at, what you're looking for, maybe this is what you're more interested in. But if you're just looking for a list of applications that are installed, then I would probably go with info.plist first for that. And here you can also see the product type and the build version and some data like this. Just to note here, we have another date, which is just called the date, and this date actually is not the backup creation date. I'm not exactly sure what the date is of. And I wasn't able to find it online either. It seems to be a bit earlier than the backup. Maybe it just doesn't get updated every time you create a new backup. Anyway, that is not the backup creation date. So keep that in mind if you're looking for evidence of that. So now we will look at the Manifest.db file. That's a SQLite database. It consists of two tables, files and properties. We will look at the files table because in my experiments, every time I looked at properties, it was empty, so I did not find anything there. So, by the way, here I'm using the DB browser for SQLite. This is all the screenshots are from that, and you can see that the files table basically lists all the files that are present within the backup. We have a number of columns like file ID, domain, relative path, and you can't quite see, but there's flags and data of the file as well. And that's the data blob of the file itself. So I am using, as I said, the DB browser for SQLite program to view it, but obviously any filtering you could use SQL queries instead, or if you wanted to automate this, that would be the way to go as well. So basically, in the relative path field, you'll be able to see different paths, the whole path to a file that you're interested in. So here I was, for example, looking for .SQLite, .jpg, .pdf. You could do .db to find all of the different files you might be interested in. And now we're going to look a bit closer on the file ID itself. So the file ID is actually a SHA-1 hash of the domain string, and then a dash, and then the relative path. So if you have those two, and you put them in a hash generator, you will get the file ID itself. And the file ID, as you probably have guessed by now, are the names of the files that we saw before. So basically, the Manifest.db acts like a phone book to look up the file name of the file you're looking for within the backup. So here, my example was looking at the WhatsApp's call history .SQLite database, and then I copied this file ID from here, and just in the in the UI, I was searching my backup to find this, and then you can see this on the right here. These are the tables within that database, and as we only have 20 or so minutes today, I'm not going into details of any particular applications, but this will look different for all sorts of different applications, obviously developed by different people. So. So yeah, this is like a completely separate topic to look into those different databases. So we looked at the WhatsApp call history database, but what other files are of interest or could be of interest? So there's the SMS.db that contains all the SMS messages. There is the database of notes that contains the notes that are present on the device. WhatsApp itself has a number of different databases as well. Contacts, which include all your WhatsApp contacts together with their status messages. So like the status lines, I'm not sure how to call them. There's the chat storage as well that will contain the chats in your WhatsApp application, and everything else is just depends on what you're looking for. So if I was just trying to get as much information out of the backup about a user's behavior or actions, I would look for other messenger apps, so like Facebook Messenger, for example, or Signal. I would look for other social media applications like maybe Instagram or TikTok and Snapchat. And then I think that there's a lot to be seen when it comes to the different travel apps. Like obviously you might think airlines and like taxi apps like Uber or Lyft, but there will be applications such as parking applications that are much more regional. For example, I'm not sure how it works in the US, but in the UK, like every city will have a different application that they use for you to pay for parking, and obviously their databases will look differently, and maybe you will be able to find some interesting information there. So just make sure that you look for these more niche artifacts as well, and not just focus on the more popular ones. So the next point is how to analyze the backup. Obviously, the way I showed it here was manual. We were just kind of looking around in the database browser. If you have access to commercial forensic software like Celebrite or Elcomsoft, all this sort of things, I'm sure they can do it, and you will be able to parse these artifacts using those tools. I don't have access to these tools myself, so part of the reason why I do it manually. But when it comes to open source tools, there's Alexis Brignoni's iLeap a tool written in Python. It's available on GitHub. There's a link here if you're interested. It stands for iOS logs, events, and plist parser, and you can use an iTunes backup as a source for that, and use this tool for parsing those artifacts. So I spoke a lot about how backups are built and what they consist of, and how you can find the files that are interesting to you. So just before I let you go, I just wanted to talk a bit about why you would be interested in it, because obviously this is not a full physical acquisition of a phone. You will not get all the logs and all the data that you might need, but there are some advantages to it. So it's easier to obtain than a full physical acquisition. You don't need a lot of time. You don't need any specific software, like you need music or iTunes, but you don't need any commercial tools, and also the kind of entry point for it is quite low, let's say. So anyone really can do it, and it doesn't take a lot of time at all. My phone is, iPhone I use every day, has probably 100 gigabytes of data, photos, and whatnot. Took less than 2 minutes to create this backup. And I spoke about the local backups today, but I mentioned there are the iCloud backups as well. So if a device is backed up to iCloud, then it might be available to you without having physical access to the device, so that can be really helpful in some cases. I think the biggest, let's say, advantage or just an argument for analysis of these iPhone backups are just the use of them in key cases in real life. So an example is the Hunter Biden scandal. 2 iCloud backup files for his iPad and his iPhone were used in that case, in this investigation. So it's clearly being used in practice. Another thing is, so you can see an excerpt from an article from National Review there. And also Amnesty International published some documentation on Pegasus and how to spot it, how to know that your device was infected with it, and also one of the databases available on an iPhone backup can be used to check for these indicators. Obviously, that's not all you need, but it's a key piece in the puzzle, and sometimes one that you can get easier than some other ones. Well, thank you very much, and if you have any questions, please find me after. And